Organize Me Radio, episode 19, Move Management. I'm Naeemah Ford Goldson. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Organize Me Radio. I'm Naeemah Ford Goldson, and today our guest is Janine Sarna-Jones, who is the owner of Organize Me, Inc. Welcome, Janine.
Hi, thank you. It's nice to see you.
So, Janine, we have a little bit in common. You're Organize Me, Inc. I'm sure you were around before Organize Me Radio started, but I'm Organize Me Radio, so we have that there in common. But also, we went to the same elementary school, not at the same time. We did go to the same school. I'm just thinking, what a small world it is.
It is a small world, and not everybody, ends up on Staten Island, but a lot of people leave it.
Right, because I never meet anyone from Staten Island. Whenever I tell people I'm from Staten Island, they're like, where? Or they're like, oh, that's not really New York, that's New Jersey.
That's funny.
So, but I'm glad that we're able to connect, and I'm able to, associate with another person who is from where I'm from, and we're organizers as well. I just think that's amazing.
It is, truly.
So tell me about you. How did you get your start in the organizing industry?
Well, I actually started at my first job, which I thought was going to be my career forever. And it ended up not being, because I love this so much more. But at my first job at the Smithsonian's Museum of the American Indian, I was in the photo department, and I was responsible for ordering supplies. And I asked, how do you know when you're low? Because things were all over the place. I swear that office hadn't been organized since the 70s.
Wow.
So I asked if I could organize the office so that I knew when we were low and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. And when I was finished, my boss at that time said, I know someone who could use your help after work or on the weekends. And to make a long story short, it was the beginning of the end of my career as a photographer and photo archivist. But it took about 10 years. No, 8 years. And then by 2000, this is what I was doing only.
It's so funny how that works out, how you started out archiving photos and then you wanted to find a better way to, to do inventory and store them and things like that. And then you end up where you are today. It's so interesting.
Yeah, well, I felt like, working in the museum world, because we were behind the scenes, I didn't really interact with people unless there were events. And I really, truly, truly loved helping people have some sort of transformative experience when I would help them with a project. And literally for the first 5 years, I didn't know it was called organizing. It wasn't until I read Julie Morgenstern's book that I was like, oh my God, there are people that do this for a living. And on top of it, there's like an association for organizers. It was like amazing.
Right. So tell us about your business and your specialty.
Okay, so I've been in business for 20 years.
Wow.
It has definitely evolved over time. I used to be a solo, and now my business, after some major transformation about 8 years ago, it's a team-based approach to organizing because I really don't like touching stuff. And we do a lot of moving and relocation, and we do a lot of estate clearance, and we also help people prep their homes for sale. And, managing moves is my favorite thing, and helping people who are going through a traumatic time when they're having to get rid of all the stuff when someone's passed away. I love doing that and helping them with that. And we love it when apartments that we've helped organize and look gorgeous sell for more money than they would have if we hadn't been there.
Right. So, how does your business in doing move management? Because I know there are a lot of people that don't realize a lot of organizers do move management. How would you compare or differentiate from an actual moving company?
Well, I don't literally pick up the stuff and move it from one place to another. That is definitely not what we do. But there's a lot of pieces and moving pieces to a move that have nothing to do with, those burly guys who pick up your stuff and put it on the truck and then take it off and bring it in. There's a lot, especially here in New York, it can be a little bit complicated because you're dealing with so many different parties when a move is happening. It's not just the client who has to kind of make decisions about everything that's going to go on that truck. In my estimation, there have been way too many times when I've met somebody and they still have boxes that have never been opened from their last move or 3 moves before.
Wow.
So working with the client who literally has to make that decision and supporting them through the process of making decisions so that they can keep their move as, bring down the cost of the move, but be really super clear on the other end what's going to happen to their stuff, because ideally we're doing it from the beginning to the end, and we literally make their beds in their new home and everything's put away and there isn't a box in sight. I mean, that's the goal that I have, is for them to feel like when they walk into their new home, it feels like home. So movers will move your stuff, but they also, when they unpack, they take things and put them on any surface they can find.
Right.
They're not organizers. They're not trying to figure out how you're going to live in a new space. I mean, that's not their job. That's really what our expertise is in that area. But we work with movers, and I love to support the movers because they're doing really hard work. So I appreciate them, but I also appreciate what we bring to the table, which is something a little bit different than what they do.
So you'll partner with actual moving companies, but are there any other industry partners that you have that you utilize for the move as a whole?
Well, I work with all kinds of people. So, I mean, I have a very deep Rolodex, because sometimes, you need cleaners who will come in and clean the apartment that you're moving into and also clean the apartment you're moving out of, or home. It kind of depends. We do homes and brownstones, townhouses, apartments, everything that you can imagine. And literally, it's like, I know a cleaner, I know a handyman, I know a painter, I know a guy who takes your, furniture apart if it can't fit through the door, and he'll take it apart, the movers move it in, and he puts it back together. I know a contractor, I know an electrician. I mean, the list goes on and on. Paper shredder. So, like, the list is very, very long, and it's mainly because I know that there's always an issue. When you're moving, there's the transition itself is inherently stressful, and there's so many little details, and people don't do it all the time, but I do it all the time. My team does it all the time, and whenever there's a hiccup, I have a solution.
So it's kind of like a one-stop shop. If you hire someone to manage your move, then you're not having to worry about, like you said, finding a handyman to do this or finding someone to clean your house. So it makes perfect sense to me. I mean, I don't know why everyone doesn't do it, because moving is stressful.
It is. It is stressful. And I definitely, if I ever move, I'm definitely having my team move me. For sure, because I know how many things are involved, but I love doing it for other people because I'm not invested in it. I just want them to have a successful move. And it's so funny. People say all the time, that their move was great. Everything was great. And I was like, really? Because people think that if they get from point A to point B, then somehow that was like a great move. But that's not really truly a great move. A great move is when you are not stressed out, you are not up late trying to do stuff, you are not stressed by the people around you who are not doing things the way that you feel that they should be done. I mean, ideally, in a perfect world, my clients would go on vacation and we would just do everything.
Gotcha. So tell me about your employees. What roles do they play? Are they all organizers? Are there some who specifically pack? Are there some who specifically, organize a space before the packing or sort through things? How does that work out?
I would say that there's a couple of different levels. I mean, I have some team members who are project managers, and I can trust them to manage a project the way that I would. And then there's others who are really truly just organizers and they unpack. We don't generally pack. I mean, though sometimes we do occasionally, but it's often if there are movers involved, it's far cheaper to have the mover pack than to have us pack. But some clients over the years have asked us specifically to pack certain things, which we'll do, but my preference is to have the movers pack the fragile stuff. And but on the other end, we unpack and organize. So the project manager will also be an unpacker, but they're also the one that's the point person for the client as well as all of the vendors.
So then how do you determine your pricing? And you don't have to tell us the price of it, but I'm wondering, do you base your
on the website? I mean,
on the website? Okay.
Yeah.
Is it based on like the amount of people that you have working, or how maybe the square footage of the house, or just how many things they have?
Well, here's the process. I mean, like, yes, there is a price for the size of the team per hour. I'm like the, major domo project manager. So anytime I'm involved or I have to do stuff, I'm a certain price, which is on the website. And then there is also me going in, seeing the volume of what's there. It's hard when I haven't seen the volume to actually be accurate with my estimate. But for the most part, it's me going in, seeing it either via FaceTime virtually or in person. And I can give an estimate of how long it's going to take us to get through everything and prep it for the move. And then there's a certain amount of time, depending on how big the move is, that also determines the size of the team that's needed to oversee the movers packing and also moving out, and then meeting the team on the other end to unpack and organize. So that's my estimate, and it's like basically based on like 6 to 8 hours a day but then sometimes it goes to 8 or 10. Yeah. But ideally, I don't really want my team to be too exhausted. So hopefully they just work 8 hours.
So what's the biggest job you've ever done? Have you ever had to move like someone who lived in a mansion or anything, or just a really big house? And how long did it take? Like how many days?
We did a project, probably one of the bigger ones. We did a project in Brooklyn in Park Slope, in this huge, gorgeous brownstone. I mean, it was ginormous. It had an elevator.
Wow.
Cool. That project took several days to prep because we had to pack some things ourselves. But it was also super complicated because it was the job. They had a lot of stuff and a lot of art. And they had a wine collection. So there were a lot of different movers involved. So the movers who did their personal effects and furniture, and then there was the wine mover, that was amazing. It was a huge collection. And then they had the art, which they had an extensive art collection. So the art movers came and did that. And so I had 3 different movers arriving on different days. And I, myself and a team member went down to Miami Beach because it was from Brooklyn to Miami Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And we also I had assembled a team of local organizers to be overseen by my team member that came with me. And while I dealt with all the other details, because I also had to ship a car from
Wow.
the Hamptons, and I had to figure out how they could get it was a frog and a chameleon.
Oh,
Had to
okay.
figure out how to get those from the Hamptons to Miami Beach. That was like so exciting when it came. They both came in a FedEx package alive.
Oh my goodness. I would have been holding my breath.
But it was great because it was a challenge, just like I had no idea how to do that, how to make that happen, but it worked and they lived. So, and I know now I'm the organizer you go to if you want to know how to ship stuff
Right.
up to
Right.
mail. It was funny, but it was a huge job, and it took literally, we were in Miami Beach for a week. And prior to that, we worked over a few weeks to get it ready. So it was a great project, and it was huge.
So did you get a little vacation in there too then, since you were able to go to Miami? No, all work?
Well, it was all work. I think I saw one friend who had moved down there many, many years ago for breakfast one day, and that was it.
Well, at least you got to do that.
Yeah, it was nice to see somebody I haven't seen in years, but it was definitely it was fun though. I mean, we worked really hard. Every day was a long day.
So do you do many downsizing jobs with your move management at all?
Yes, we do a lot of move management because I'm also a certified senior move manager as well as a certified professional organizer. And, I don't necessarily market specifically to seniors, but that's part of, we help people through every transition in every part of life,
Mhm.
from the beginning when you're starting a family and, having babies and upsizing to, when you get toward the end of your life, when you're ready to downsize and move to a smaller place that's more manageable. Um, I just got 2 calls this week about helping the adult children help their loved ones downsize.
How hard is that for you, having to, deal with the adult children helping their elderly parents? Do you ever have any conflicts with that? Is it tough to figure out who is a person that makes the decisions?
Well, I have to tell you, it's even if somebody is the elderly person has some cognitive issues, they're ultimately still your client. It doesn't change just because somebody else is paying for it. It's the person who owns the stuff or is attached to the stuff that you have to honor in the process.
So, you mentioned estates earlier. Do you ever coordinate estate sales?
No. I mean, I can help sell a thing here or there, or I bring in people who do sales or auctions. But honestly, most of the stuff that people have, unless it's like really good stuff, is not worth anything.
Hmm.
And people don't seem to realize that. So sometimes I have to break the news to them.
Yeah.
But if I don't want to break the news to them, I bring in one of my experts who can break the news.
Okay.
Because people do have a really overinflated sense of the value of their things because they love them or they purchased them at the time that they bought them. They were very expensive and now nobody wants them, so they're not worth anything. So
Right. I'd agree with you on that. And I feel like with some of the clients that I've had to, with, older people who want to give things to their kids, but their kids don't want it. Their kids don't like it and they have no desire on keeping it. So yeah, I get it. I get that.
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think, maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago, people, you had to go and get the stuff, the china cabinet, the dining table, all the dining chairs, and this and that and the other, and and nobody wants that stuff anymore because everybody wants to buy from West Elm or Crate and Barrel or wherever else.
Right.
Everybody wants their home to look like, the Pottery Barn catalog. So
Right.
it's a totally different world, than what it used to be.
Yeah, because I feel like we're going more, minimalistic and streamlined and modern, and where a lot of us are, straying away from the traditional type, things that, parents and grandparents love and want to pass down to you. So
It's
it's just
definitely, it's not the case anymore. So we end up, you know, donating a lot of it off to other places. Yeah, it's sad. But
it's definitely a different world now. It's just different.
yeah, for sure.
So tell me, and I love to ask this to everyone. What are some of your favorite organizing products or products you use during managing a move?
Boxes and tape.
Any specific type of boxes, like any specific boxes that hold up better?
I would say I really love bankers boxes, like the true bankers boxes, because we did a huge job on Park Avenue. It was an estate project, and the person who owned this apartment, he used it as a pied a terre and also an office for his business. And he literally had probably about 20 filing cabinets, but the tall ones, that are lateral, that
Wow.
like are up over your head.
Yeah.
He had so much paper because he had somebody who worked in the apartment and kind of managed that. We had to go through every single file folder, every single one,
Oh my gosh.
to make sure, because people misfile all the time especially a paper project. It takes so much time because the individual pieces of paper need to be gone through, even if you go through pretty quick, because we wanted to make sure that we found everything that the family would want that had any value to them, and the things that they had indicated to us that were important. And he had like, he was in his 80s when he passed away, and he had like this really amazing life. I mean, I think he had a letter from JFK or something like that.
Wow.
Like, he was an amazing person, and it was a great project. But I had two people there every day going through every single file folder with his assistant, so that we could make sure that we found those things that were important. Yeah, but those bankers boxes, let me tell you, and they, fold flat.
And those are the boxes with the lids that have handles, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So just clarifying that for anyone who might not know. That's what she's talking about.
Another thing I like is colored tape, for like colored masking tape that you can put on boxes when you have a really big project and you can color code things. It's great. When we used that in Miami, because it was a pretty, they had been, in a 5-story brownstone, and then we moved them into this really huge home that was all flat. So being able to like look at the box and see the color and say the mover, go that way or go that way or go that way.
Mm-hmm. Right. That sounds
That made
smart.
it so much easier. Yeah.
What is your greatest achievement as a professional organizer?
Okay. So when I first started, I was a solo, and it took me a little while to figure it out, but I realized after a certain amount of time that there was only a certain amount of money that I could make, and it was based on my time, my hours. And I only, and I also wanted to be the class mom and go on field trips and things like that. So
Mhm.
I don't, I mean, sucks. I made so little money, because at least like literally the first year, I think I made enough to pay for my daughter's babysitter while I was with clients. And, learning how to run a business, I think, is my greatest achievement. And to bring it up to the level where it's a 6-figure business and growing, that's my accomplishment as an organizer, I think, because I think most organizers, we're in this business to help other people. So we wear our hearts on our sleeves because we want to give to people. But the reality is that we really also need to be able to make sure that we're valuing ourselves at the highest level that we possibly can, because that's how we sustain ourselves so that we can help more people. And I really feel like understanding my value, and then being able to kind of reconfigure my business so that it was a team-based approach and use the team to help more people, because I wouldn't have been able to help the number of people I've helped over these years if it wasn't for them.
So wise, Janine. So wise. You can tell that you have been in this industry for 20 years, because it shows. I'm learning so much from you. So thank you so much, Janine, for being on. Can you tell everybody where they can find out more information about you?
Yes, if you go to my website, organizeme-inc.com, ORGANIZEME-INC.com, is where you can find out a lot about me. There's a video there that kind of shows you the behind the scenes of a moving job with me, with my team. And you can learn more about the services that we provide, because I love helping people, and I love organizers. So if you have questions, I'm always open to hearing from you.
All right, Janine, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to be on and telling everyone a little bit more about move management and how it works.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for listening to Organize Me Radio. Tune in next time for an all new episode. Thank you so much for joining me today, and make sure you follow me on all social media platforms. And remember, get organized, go further. You're listening to Organize Me Radio. I'm Naeemah Ford Goldson.